Okay, I'm kind of going to describe this because I have a feeling once I get my hands in the way, you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing. This is the hose in question. There's 4 of them, one on each wheel, obviously. They flex a lot over the lifetime of the car, and they get brittle with age, and it's something that, just for safety reasons, if you're not really sure, you probably ought to consider replacing. They're not that expensive. So what I'm going to do on this car anyway, on a TR6 at 9/16 inch, you need to get one on this side to remove the hard line. And then you can get another one over here on this end, although it should be held on by the rear trailing arm. This nut inside here is basically just to lock it in place. That has to come undone too. So once both of those are off, the hose should pull straight out. And then my plan for back here, obviously it's a little bit difficult to get in with a wrench, see? Not going to be able to get much leverage that way. So my plan is, once this end is out, I'm going to cut this hose. I should be able to get a socket on, which will make it a lot easier to access. The new hose should go on a lot easier than the old one comes off because everything's clean. So I could thread most of it by hand and just use a wrench to tighten it down. So that's the plan. Let's get started. And then you'll want a drip tray underneath because there's going to be brake fluid spilling. There we go. When you have the new hose, you can see that everything should thread on a lot easier. So this goes through, then the lock nut, and then finally the solid brake line. By the way, this is a lot easier without the body on the car. Just point out really quick, this is from underneath the car. You might have a much easier time reaching it, although, again, you have to be underneath the car to get at it. Once the inside's tight, you can do the same on the other end. Thread it through the same way that it was there before. Don't forget the lock washer if there is one. Probably should be one. So with the other side done, I'm not going to show you this side because I want to charge the camera battery, but it's largely the same. The one thing to watch out for is that there may be a copper washer between this brake line and the three-way brake union that you see farther in. So just don't lose that washer. In fact, it's a good idea to replace it. But otherwise, procedure's the same on this side as it was on the other end. Up at the front, things are a lot easier to reach. Same exact process, it's just now you can see it. So you want to untighten, also known as loosen. Breaking your wrists in the process and anything else that you can injure. By the way, once you get the brake line off, you can get a ratcheting one on there. It makes it a lot less of a pain to finish up. Again, everything should assemble a lot easier than it came apart now. You're tightening this down, try and hold the flexible line in place because you don't want that to be twisting while you're tightening everything down. Pardon me as I'm just cramping in my hand here. Just like anything else, I keep saying it, do not over tighten it, you'll end up doing the work again. Spray it down now. By the time you get around to bleeding it, everything will be dry and it'll be really easy to see if it's leaking brake fluid. The other side's the same. I'm going to wrap it up and then I'll show you how to start bleeding. Now, having made sure everything's tight, it's time to top up your brake fluid and start putting it into the master. Always use clean brake fluid from a fresh bottle. Now, for bleeding the brakes, you're going to need a wrench that goes on the bleed screw. And then you can do this with help, but I like to use just one of these one-way valves. set it here so you can see it. Open the bleed screw. And then go and pump the brake pedal. After every few pumps of the pedal, stop to take a look and see how much fluid has come out, because you don't want the bottle overflowing, and also check what's left in the master cylinder, because you don't want that to run dry. You'll be starting again. If you see air bubbles in a line like you just did, that's a sign that you need to keep bleeding, but we're going to empty this first. There, move on to the driver's side rear. The front passenger. And finally, the driver's side front, making sure each time that you are checking to refill the brake master cylinder with fresh, clean fluid. When you've got around to all four corners, get in the car, step on the brakes, pump it a few times, but hold the pressure and make sure that you're not losing pressure. If that pedal's starting to trend towards the floor, then you've got a leak somewhere in the system. You need to find it. Don't be afraid to stand on the pedal either. If you're going to make an emergency stop, it's not like you're going to be Ginger. It's better to have it fail in the garage. Feels good to me. The only other thing that you want to do is get a flashlight. Even if the pedal pressure was good, it's likely there aren't any leaks, because otherwise you would have felt the pressure going down. But it's always a good idea to take one last look, make sure that your work was done correctly. You didn't leave any tools in there. I mean, you might even find, still good. Anyway, take one last look. Outside of that, you're ready to put the wheels back on. Make sure the brake fluid's topped off, check the pedal pressure once more, and then that's it, guys, you're done.